Good evening. Welcome to the District 1 and 2 Public Works Virtual Town Hall meeting. I'm honored to be co-hosting this event with Councilwoman Carmelita Gomes. And today, presenting from our very own Public Works Department, we have Roussan Francois. He is a program manager in the Public Works Department, and he is joined by our solid waste coordinator, Gordon Burkett. Thank you for joining me this evening.
Good to be here.
Good to be here. Councilman Mao, we can hear you.
We're going to go ahead and get started and jump right in the presentation. And Councilwoman Gomes will come to kind of wrap it up. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to you, gentlemen, to talk about all the great things we have going on in our Public Works Department.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Share screen. I don't know how this works. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody see the screen? The presentation? Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Roussan Francois, and I'm the Public Works Program Manager. And what I would like to do for the next half an hour, it's really, this is like the agenda. We would like to go over to give you an overview of Public Works and tell you a little bit about our structure and our responsibilities as Public Works. And probably the most important part of the presentation for some of you is what we call where the rubber meets the road. This is where we discuss actual projects, the things that are visible to you as a taxpayer. Then we would like to go over some noteworthy programs, some programs that we have that are very popular that you might not be aware of. And then we will go into some important initiatives that the department is taking in those two areas, which is the street sweeping and also the electric vehicle charging station. Then we're going to turn it over to you. That's when you get a chance to ask questions on the presentation. And as some of you probably know, this last week was what we call Public Works Week. And when we were asked to put that presentation together, and I was kind of finding a theme for the presentation. And I think really the Public Works Week theme, which is ready and resilient, really speak about what we do here in Public Works in the city of South Fulton. This is a department that is ready to tackle any situation. Whenever something come up, whether it's a drainage issue, a pothole issue, a traffic signal issue, staff stand ready collectively and individually to tackle the situation. Resilient. And I think this is another thing that really speak about us, what we do here in Public Works. We are resilient despite the pandemic and despite the limited resources that we have. We never hesitate to tackle any situation. We stand ready and we are resilient to tackle any situation. Having said that, let me go into the department to give you an overview of the department, because before we go into the projects, you have to have a sense of how we structure and how the responsibility that we have. We have two components to Public Works. We have in-house staff and we also have external staff. In-house staff, really we have three major divisions. We have the transportation division, we have general services and fleet. And you can see under each division the different positions that we currently have. We have the director, which is Mr. Antonio Valenzuela. We have a deputy director, which is Martha Anderson. The program manager is me. And we also have Gordon Burkett, which is our solid waste coordinator, and so on. This gives you an idea of our in-house staff. And on the external staff, we have, on the operations and maintenance side, we have a company named Jacobs. They are kind of in charge of the daily operations of the business, which is the traffic operation, the right-of-way maintenance, and any stormwater related issues. On the other side of the projects management, we do have 3 consultants that represent us. Jacobs is one of them, and we also have standby consultants, which is American Engineers, William Russell, and Atlas. Those are really doing the program management and the construction management of the projects. As you can see, you will see in the next slide, based on the magnitude of work that we do here in Public Works, there's no way that the number of in-house staff can handle all that work. Now, what do we do? What are our responsibilities in Public Works? As you can see, we maintain over 650 miles of road. This is significant for a city of this size. We maintain 59 bridges, 70 signalized intersections, 42 school flashing lights, 18 flashing caution lights, 2 hawk signal. We do a lot of pavement markings. In terms of street lights, we administer over 10,000 street lights, and we'll talk about that later on in the presentation. We also maintain 37 facilities throughout the city, and we have a fleet of about 291 vehicles that we maintain. And lastly, but not least, we also maintain a call center. This is something that most of you use to report whatever issues that you are currently facing. In terms of this is where the rubber really meet the road. This is where you actually see what we do in Public Works. And District 1, for example, prior to May of last year, Fulton Industrial Boulevard wasn't included in the city. As of last year, it was annexed to the city. But the prior agreement that we have with our consultant did not include FIB. So that's why in the presentation, we kind of keep them separate for now. The right-of-way maintenance of the Fulton Industrial Boulevard District is really maintained by city staff. As you probably noticed on the in-house team, there's about 7 people that maintain over 45 miles of right-of-way. And what do they do on an almost daily basis? They do litter pickup, brush cutting, mowing and blowing, and also they clean up the gutters. And they do that, as you can see, different locations that every other week. And that program really started in March of this year. Outside of the Fulton Industrial Boulevard District, what we are accustomed to prior to 2019, that work is being handled by outside contractors. We have about 2 or 3 contractors that handle the litter pickup, the mowing, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, this is how many times the frequency that they do it and the road that they're currently doing it. They're doing it on Campbellton Road and Cascade Road in District 1, on Boat Rock and Camp Fulton Way and Baker's Ferry District 1. And the last one, they do it throughout the city. And District 1 and 2, those are the state road. In addition to that, we also do the state routes. Currently, GDOT is doing it every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. We are doing it every 3 weeks, and those are the roads that are currently listed. Now, and again, this is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you actually see what's going on. On behalf of the department, I'm very pleased to tell you that when TISPLAS number 1 was passed in February 2016, we identified over 15 corridors and over 100 subdivisions that needed to be resurfaced. I'm pleased to tell you today, as of last month, we have resurfaced all the corridors, all the subdivisions. In addition to that, we handle a lot of small ones that just pop up since the TIS+1 project were approved. In summary, we resurfaced over 170 miles of road. That's equivalent to about $35 million. Now, TIS+1, the total amount of money projected for TIS+1 was in the neighborhood of $95 million. As you can see, this is a little bit over 1/3 of the money. Currently, in fact, last November, TIS+2 passed, and compared to TIS+1, the ratio is about the same. We projected that we will receive in the 90s, $90 million, $92 million. Now, because of the current situation, because of the price of fuel and the price of asphalt, we were thinking that we were going to handle resurfacing this year, but we a little bit hesitant because of the price of the fuel and so on that we are currently experiencing nationwide. So currently we are working with our consultant to see the best way to proceed in terms of resurfacing for TIS+2. In terms of capital projects, we do have a lot of capital projects in both District 1 and District 2. In District 1, you're probably very familiar with the roundabout at the intersection of Campbellton Road and Boat Rock and New Hope. As you can see, that project is done. We are finalizing the punch list and the street lights and so on. Another thing that is going on at that roundabout, I will talk about it in a few minutes. And in terms of the sidewalks, as you know, we are putting sidewalks on both sides of New Hope Road. And currently the project is in final design, and hopefully we are on schedule to let that project in January of 2023. Fairburn Road, as you probably know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, we did the southern part of Fairburn Road on Cascade from Fairburn to almost the city. Now this project will take it on the north side, and in addition to the sidewalks and so on, we're also going to replace the 2 bridges on Utoy Creek on the north side and also the south side. This project as well is in final design, and the construction let date is also it's very soon, in 4 months, in October of 2022. And last one is the Denford Road sidewalk. As you probably know, this is a project that the city of Atlanta already did half of the project from New Hope Road to about halfway between Cascade Road. So currently that project also is in final design. We hope to let that project in July. We are on schedule to do that. And on Cascade and Fulton Industrial Boulevard, this is one of the projects that we inherited from the Fulton Industrial Boulevard CID. This is the project that is fully funded by TIS+, federal funds, and also local funds. Currently, this is the project that is really new. It's really in concept stage, but nevertheless, we have a schedule for that project, and we have it projected for the construction in 2024. Now, District 2 has a lot of more projects. The first 3 projects are bridges on Butner Road over Camp Creek, Cochran Road over Deep Creek, Cochran Road over Camp Creek. As you can see to the right-hand side, those projects are scheduled to be let in July, June, and June of next year. Butner Road at Camp Creek, this is a project, this project and the first project and the bridge, the construction will happen concurrently, and those two projects, the construction let date is July of 2022. The last one, Campbellton Road at Stonewall Hotel. This is a project that we are moving aggressively to have it let. We are scheduled to do that in October of this year. And hopefully after that, we can go to construction within the next 30, 60 days. Butler Road at Stone Hotel. If you live in District 2, in fact, if you live anywhere in the city, you probably notice the construction at that location. The construction is 45% complete, and we anticipate completion in September of 2022. And I'm going to pause for a minute so that you can see the other projects, including the Inland Road sidewalk, which is in front of the library. That project, the construction lead date is scheduled for October 2022. Now, the first project that I mentioned in District 1, which is the roundabout at the intersection of Boat Rock and New Hope, that project, as I mentioned, the punch list is being done. That project is finished. But in addition to that, and you probably will notice in the next 60 days, inside of the roundabout, there will be 4 8-foot tall signs, artwork. And this is an example you can see to the right, something that really personalized the Centtown community. If the fabrication is finished, we issued the notice to proceed to the consultant, to the vendor, to actually installing the sign. And we expect the construction to begin in the next 2 weeks. So we are currently negotiating payment with the vendor, because this is a really small company, and in order for them to actually do the installation, we have to kind of advance them the funds, and we are in the process of doing that. As soon as they receive the funds, the installation will begin. And of course, the department will keep you updated on the city website of everything that is going on. And as soon as we receive a schedule of completion, we will share that with the community and post it on the city website. As you probably aware of, in 2019, as far as the URA, the mayor and council adopted a resolution that has 13 URAs. And the intent is to really do some improvement that were desperately needed in both the transportation side and mostly in the facilities. And District 1, so far, what have we done in the department? The roof of the Centtown gym has been replaced and is complete. There was some water issues on the lower level and the below grade. That has been also resolved. We are currently replacing the doors of the gymnasium and also the HVAC unit. And currently we are working on an invitation to bid so that we can handle the mold remediation at the facility. As you can see on the pictures, those activities that were completed, you can actually see the before and after photos, what it looks like today, before and now. The next one in District 1 is the Trauma Core Park. The exercise equipment replacement is complete. And the restroom, as you can see on the left, on the right-hand side, the restroom has been painted and repainted, and you can see the before and after pictures. Lastly, in District 1, in the fire station number 1, fire station number 4 and fire station number 2, you can actually see the before and after. The generator has been repaired in fire station number 2. The kitchen has been upgraded and the generator replaced in fire station number 4. And of course, you can see the picture really speak for themselves. That was a good job done on those 2 fire stations. And District 2, there are several issues at the Cliftondale South Fulton Art Center. Those are the several issues. Currently, we are working in an ITB. We have completed the design renovation, which is like how we're going to tackle all those issues. Currently, we are working on ITB so that we can reward it to a consultant so that they can address all those issues that you're currently looking at the South Fulton Arts Center. And solid waste. Last weekend we held a spring cleanup, and I think it went very well. And very soon we will have that information posted on our website, and those are some of the pictures. And as you know, we had it at two locations, one being Merck Road at Merckmount, and the other one was at the Creole Park. Currently, in terms of the services, we currently have 7 residential providers that provide services to our residents. We also have 2 commercial vendors, and currently the department is working on a request to proposal scheduled to be released next month, and we're looking at different options how to handle solid waste next year. And based on the result and the proposals that we receive, then the city in conjunction with the department will determine the best way to proceed moving forward. Now, we do have a lot of good programs that you probably not aware of, but they are very popular. We do have an adapter road program. We have a traffic calming program, a road closure program, no parking program. We have several programs at the department. Now, the adapter road program, you probably see a lot of signs on Union Road, Cascade Road, Butner Road, and so on. A lot of organizations have moved forward and they have adapted those streets, and some of them have held a lot of events already, pick up trash almost every other month, and we are very pleased with the result. And this is really the website addresses. If you want more information on those programs, please feel free to visit the website. And also, staff stand ready anytime to come to your HOA meetings or any other meetings to go into more details, because it will take some time to go deeply into every single one of them. But they are very popular programs. They are very important program, and a lot of subdivisions, organizations, and other agencies are taking advantage of them. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 important initiatives. The first one is the street sweeper. The department has purchased 2 street sweepers. We anticipate them to be delivered in August of this year. Currently, staff is working with the IT department to finalize our geographic information system, which is our GIS maps. Based on once that information is finalized, we will come up with different routes where those vehicles will be in service. And because, as you know, we have to use them on roads that have curb and gutters. So we are working on identifying those routes, and very soon, and once we receive those vehicles, then we will publish the routes where they're going to be used at. Another very important initiative is an electric charging station that we currently exploring using a grant by Georgia Power. The average cost of those charging stations is about $5,000, and the implementation is tentatively scheduled for December of this year. And as you can see below, those are the locations that we are proposing for now. And as you know, once the program starts and there are more opportunities, we are also exploring other locations besides those that you are looking at. And of course, there will be one at the City Hall. We're looking at one at the Southwest Arts Center. There will be 3 at the South Fulton Tennis Center, and so on. This is the end of my presentation, and this is my contact information. I wanted to give you some times if you have questions. And also, this is Mr. Gordon Burgett is also joining me if you have any questions regarding solid waste. And then I'm turning it over to Councilwoman Rao or Councilwoman Gums. Thank you. Hello? Can you hear me?
That we want to take.
Yes.
And we'll go ahead and get started with answering the questions. The first question we have is, as it relates, it's a comment. One of the residents has noted that they have drainage issues on Enon Road. So I wanted to bring that to your attention so we can follow up on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I think those issues specifically are near the Enon Pine subdivision.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a question about the city of South Fulton's buildings and the grounds under your jurisdiction. You want to take that one?
As I mentioned, we have 37 facilities that we maintain. So I don't know if you have a specific question about one building or is it kind of a general question? But to answer your question, yes, we do maintain 37 building facilities in the city of South Fulton.
And most of those buildings are, government facilities that our employees are working out of. So Parks and Rec building, fire stations, many precincts and the like. As you could see from the updates that were given today, we have focused on trying to make some major improvements in the facilities that we acquire from Fulton County. If that doesn't fully answer your question, feel free to add more specifics in the chat. Mr. Francois Mr. Francis, I'm sorry. Is there a process to allow property owners in New Hope Road to get accurate answers as to the impact of the sidewalk projects on their property?
The answer to that is yes. We will be happy to meet with you if you have any specific question about a specific parcel of land. We can set up a meeting and you can meet with our project manager one-on-one and we can discuss that, any specific question that you have regarding that parcel. The answer to your question is yes.
As a follow-up, Mr. Francis, I'll send you an email and copy Mr. Francois so they can get that meeting scheduled. Another question. Let's see, keep going. How much money is being allocated for improvements at FIB and Cascade? How do you secure the funds and design? I think that's the question.
Currently, we do have the work that is being done at FIB is being handled by in-house staff. So we do not have a budget allocated to FIB as of now.
I think he's specifically asking about that project at Cascade and Fulton Industrial, which I think is really coming under the Fulton Industrial CID.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not under the purview of the city. Hope that helps. How would the sidewalks navigate around the Georgia Power installations?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So I think they want to know how the sidewalks will be designed around those utility boxes.
Where is that? At what location?
They're talking about New Hope sidewalks.
Oh, okay. the Georgia Power, we do have, as part of the design work, we constantly meet with Georgia Power and all the utility stakeholders along that corridor. If, for example, if you have a specific location, I'll be happy to set up a meeting with you and the project manager, and we can go over the right-of-way plans, we can go over the utility plans, and I can show you exactly at that location where the sidewalk will be let at that location.
Yes. And as you mentioned, I think early, they're in the final design phase of that
Yes.
project before they let the project to construction.
Yes.
But I can tell you, everybody is looking for walkable communities. They're highly sought after, so it will help appreciate your property value.
Yes.
One of the questions that we have is, what about the roundabouts on Boat Rock before FIB? This one needs attention. Can you speak to the right-of-way agreement we're trying to finalize with GDOT to let us take over maintenance?
Roundabout on Boat Rock.
They're talking about at Camilton and Boat Rock, I think.
Well, is it regarding the detention ponds, so we can maintain which?
I think that's the roundabout that's there at that apartment complex as you go up the hill.
Oh, okay.
Do you know anything about it, Gordon?
I mean, it's, the challenge there is really it's an enforcement issue. It's the one where the trucks go over the island on a regular basis, so the curbing and stuff like that is chipped. I don't think there are any plans currently to update that, but that is something that we're definitely aware of and monitoring.
I know we've done the curbing a couple different times, but Mr. Brunson, if there's something specific, I'll go take a look and see. I know in the past we have been able to do some minor curbing at the entrance of your subdivision. Okay, let's see what other questions we have in the chat. I don't see any other questions. I think somebody raised a question about the name of the vendor. I'm not sure what project they were referencing. I'll try to go back. If you could put it in the chat, okay, are there funds allocated for sidewalks at Erin and Camilton? We have seniors, dog walkers, and residents traveling to and from work. I can respond to that. I guess in 2020, the city of South Woodin adopted our comprehensive transportation program. And right now, and it has some sidewalks projects. Erin at Camilton Road I don't know exactly where you're talking about, but we did get a number of the thoroughfares that we identified in that transportation plan, and we have a number of sidewalk projects that are on our T-SPLOS 2 list.
Yes, and for Campbellton Road going west towards the Douglas County, we applied for some federal funds to do a study, and they haven't released the outcome yet, the awards, but we are very confident that working with the GDOT, the Georgia Department of Transportation, we feel very confident on securing those funds. And the idea is to do a study of that corridor, and ultimately the goal is to widen that road from Reynolds Road all the way to Douglas County, the Chattahoochee River. When we had a meeting with GDOT, they felt like we needed to go beyond the Chattahoochee River because some of the traffic really come from the city of Douglasville. So we are extending the project from Reynolds Road to about 1/4 of a mile west into the Douglas County. And as soon as the information is made public, we will be happy to share that information with you. And if you are interested in being a stakeholder or to participate in the study, please let us know, and we will like to have you as part of the stakeholder committee for that study.
Okay. The question about the vendor, his name is Alan Peterson. He's the artist.
Oh, for
The
the
art in the
for the
public
artist, yeah.
in the roundabout. Okay. Will we be getting sidewalks on Enon Road? Again, they're in the long-term transportation plan. But just to give you an idea, usually a project goes through 4 phases, and I want Mr. Francois to kind of walk them through from design to construction. And so when we're given updates, I think it's really important to find out where a project is, whether it's in the design, the construction phase. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yes, yes. In fact, I'm glad you asked that question because for many years, I mean, as a planner, when I go to public meetings, one of the questions we get all the time is like, why is it taking so long for a project to happen? Or maybe you guys already designing, we never see anything. But really, a project, we have two type of projects. We have projects that are federally funded or state funded. That means we receive money from either the state or federal government. Those projects, on average, from design to open to traffic, those projects takes about 4 to 7 years before you actually see them. Why is that? Because there are several milestones throughout the design, throughout the project, and for every single milestone, you have to get approval from the Department of Transportation, and it takes forever to get the project implemented. Now, if you have your own money and you do not rely on state or federal funds like we do with TIS-Plus, those projects can move quicker. On average, we try to design them in a year, acquire the right-of-way acquisition, the right-of-way as fast as possible, assuming that there's no condemnation, and assuming that we don't have too many parcels. The idea is to acquire them as soon as we can, 3, 4, 6 months, and to go into construction. And by having your own money, by not relying on federal and state fund, you can shorten the project to 3 years easily. So a lot of things, and this is a perfect scenario. This is when you have the money from start to finish. Sometimes money is an issue. And for the past 2 years, the issue that we are facing is the rising cost of fuel. The money that we set aside 2 years ago to do a project, and suddenly now fuel is expensive. When fuel is expensive, what does that mean? That means asphalt is expensive. That means the money that you allocated is no longer enough to do the project. And sometimes you have to go back to the federal or the state agency to look for more money. So it's really important that I'm glad you asked the question, that everybody understand the project. And that's why there are some projects that we do not have to go through all those different steps. For example, resurfacing projects, as long as you can issue an ITB, which is an invitation to bid, and the weather is nice, then you can go ahead and resurface those roads. But any other capital projects takes about 4 to 7 years if those projects are federally funded. If they are locally funded, they take up to 3 to 4 years.
There is some money slated for sidewalks on Enon Road, primarily near the Wolf Creek Library.
Yes.
Consider placing signs to remind citizens that the sidewalks are not to be used for parking vehicles. Right. Right. Thank you. I agree. One of the questions, how were the electric vehicles charging stations chosen, and why were they not in District 2? That was a question I had about public facilities throughout the city.
Councilwoman Rao, I may have to research that information. I'm not sure how, but the only thing that I can tell you, I'm pretty sure that demand was a factor, and you just don't put them anywhere. There has to be a demand for them in terms of the traffic, and As I said, I wasn't part of that selection, but I will be happy to research that information and make it public on tomorrow, on whenever you're going to release the comments to the public meeting.
The question was, he said, where are people parking on the sidewalks? It's a white car on Campbellton Road. I think that's the one he's talking about. I'm waiting for it to disappear myself. Okay. I don't see any additional questions, but I'm sure we have some, and we're more than happy to take them. We're here to get as many of your questions answered as possible. There's a lot going on in Public Works, as you can see. That might just be a power-packed 45 minutes. I'm trying to just go over to make sure we haven't overlooked any of the questions that were raised in the chat. One of the things we'll make sure we have posted or sent out is the T-SPLOST 2 list. I know it was circulating a lot, of course, right before we got to the vote in November, but it really outlines all the projects that will take place over the next 5 years. So those projects happen over a 5-year period. And so again, as he's kind of mentioned, you go through procurement, depending on a project, you might be going to right-of-way acquisition on some of these projects, but we'll make sure that information is recirculated. Rusan, can you describe how people apply for traffic calming?
Sure. And I'm glad you asked the question, but before I answer your question, I wanted to remind everybody that the homepage for Public Works is currently under design. A lot of those documents, questions, and frequently asked questions, the next homepage that you will see in the next, I'm assuming in a couple of months, it will be more interactive, easy to find, aesthetically more pleasant for you to navigate. So a lot of that information will be posted on our website, on the homepage of Public Works that is currently under development. Now, to answer your question about traffic calming, first of all, it starts really with either a phone call. Sometimes the staff will receive a phone call from a citizen saying that they are experiencing either thing in their subdivision. It could be speeding issues, or it could be a cut through the neighborhood. Or they will use we currently in public, in fact, citywide, we do have an app called See Click Fix that sometimes they will report the issue in See Click Fix. Once we receive that information, the first step, staff will send a package to the applicant, and the package will contain the ordinance that was passed, the forms that the applicant has to fill out, and also any other information that is relevant to the traffic calming. And most of the requests we receive are either from a homeowners association president, or from a single applicant. And the reason why we send out a petition or a form for the community to fill out is that for two reasons. Number one, we want to make sure whatever decision the department takes, that everybody is in favor of the traffic calming. Number one. Number two, sometimes it's a perception that there is a speeding issue. It's a perception that people are cutting through your neighborhood. And by sending out that petition, this is how we can collect enough information so that we can take the next step. Once we send you that petition, you have to sign that petition and send it back to us. For us to take any action on the petition, 75% of the people along the street or the corridor where you think that there is a problem have to be in support. And sometimes you'll be surprised. We do get petitions sometimes where people are not in support of it. So just because you fill out a petition, you see a petition, that doesn't mean everyone on the petition is in support of it. Now, let's assume that there is 75% or less. So 75% or less, this is it, game over. There's nothing we can do. There's no need to go any further. If we receive 75% or more, then what the department will do, the department will initiate a study. The study where we send out the traffic engineer, we put some traffic, we'll do some traffic counts, and we will do a study based on the traffic count. To have a speeding issue in your subdivision, let's say for a minute the posted speed is 25 miles per hour. When we do the traffic count, we have to register 36 miles per hour. That people are going at least 11 miles above the posted speed to have a problem. If we have 36 miles per hour or more, yes, we do have a speeding issue. And same thing with cutting through your neighborhood. Every subdivision, based on the number of houses, based on the size of the subdivision, generates a number of trips every single day. We use the manual designed by the Institute of Transportation Engineers that dictate, based on the size of your subdivision, based on the size, on the number of houses, how many trips your subdivision generates. And if when we do the traffic counts, 25%, we are over 25% or more, then we do have a problem. And now let's say that number one, we have either a speeding issue or cut-through issue. Now what we do is we send a letter to the applicant to let them know that we have a speeding issue, or we do experience that we do know that the subdivision is having an issue. Then what we do is, it's very important that I also tell you that when we do the traffic count, there is a cost associated with doing the traffic counts. The department doesn't have any equipment, so we have to hire a consultant to do the traffic counts. They do the traffic counts. That's a cost associated with the for it. Now, when we realize that there is a problem, then we do what we call a conceptual plan. We hire a design engineer to come up with 3 different alternatives to address the problem. The reason why it's important that we do 3 alternatives, so we look at the least expensive, the most feasible, and the one that we believe is in between. And once we do that and the study is done, remember, the department incur that cost. This is not a cost to the HOA. So far, the HOA hasn't spent any money. But I want to tell you, once the conceptual is back, where the consultant, the design engineer come up with 3 different alternatives, the first thing we do, we send a letter, we reach out to the HOA president, we let them know, hey, this is the 3 things that we come up with. You know, just share that with your subdivision. In addition to that, we are required to do a public meeting. In fact, we're getting ready to do a public meeting on at Inon Pines subdivision in the coming month. That's where we meet with the community. We present to them 3 different alternatives, and they have to choose the preferred one. Not only that, we present to them the preferred alternative, but we also share with them the cost, because every alternative has a cost associated with it. And the cost, the HOA is responsible for the cost of the installation. Once we do that, the public meeting, then we have to circulate one last time based on the comments that we receive, the preferred scenario. Let's say, for example, the preferred scenario is speed humps. It's very important that we go through the process and do that one more time, because it's easy for people to say, hey, I did speed humps, I did speed humps. But when we present the design, you realize that, hey, that speed humps is going to be in front of your house. Then there will be noise. there will be aesthetically it's not going to be pleasant. You might not like it, in front of your house. So those information we have to share it with the community. And once then we receive the blessing, then that's when we make a recommendation before mayor and council to do it for the installation. And as I said again, the installation cost is on the HOA. So is the removal, because sometimes after we install it 2-3 months a year, you realize that maybe it's no longer needed, or maybe it's a mistake. I don't like it. It's for whatever reason. The HOA is also responsible for the removal of the traffic calming device.
Okay, thank you. I want to try to cover as many of these questions. We got quite a few more in the chat. What is the process for getting support for additional traffic lights on Butner Road? Again, I think Mr. Roussan spoke to, that's considered traffic calming. The traffic light is considered traffic calming. I will tell you, though, that there is a traffic light scheduled to be installed at Stonewall Tail and Camilton Road. But it would require the petition process, as he mentioned, for Butner Road. Is there anything that you could share? Are there any petitions or requests for traffic calming that have been submitted to the city, Mr. Roussan?
Oh, there are several. I'll be happy if anybody shoot me an email tomorrow morning about a specific location. I'll be happy to share that with them. Yes, we do have a few.
Great. Other questions? I guess that would be covered. They asked specifically about Butner and Thames Road. Just trying to go through. Councilwoman Gumps, if you'd like to add some. Oh, it was a question. Are we talking about the sanitation process? How's it going, the status? The council has not made any decision about sanitation at this time. The city manager and assistant city manager and public works are still working through that. So your service you should continue your service as you know it. I know for GFL providers, you may have received a notice lately that they're changing the day of your service pickup. So I know they sent out postcards to a number of residents, District 1, that their day will no longer be Thursday, but Monday. So check your mailbox to see if you have been impacted by that change. What is the process for getting support for additional traffic light? We talked about that. Yes, I want to know if there is any resurfacing project scheduled on Boat Rock. Boat Rock Road is scheduled for resurfacing under T-Splosh 2. So the time for that, I can't speak to it. That was approved in February. I don't think they'll even, the city won't have that money. That money flows to the city from the state based on sales tax. And so I think that'll come to us during the summer. So even though it was passed in November, we haven't collected anything. The city has not at this time. But after that, the city will have to issue an RFP and they'll begin to implement the projects on the T-Splosh 2 list. We have semi-trucks traveling up that road to get to FIB Boat Rock. Understood. This is something that I have been in communication with the police department and public works to see what other additional signage. I know Ms. Marbury is on here. This is one we've talked about pretty frequently. And they have also done some increased police patrolling in that area. If you go on the police department's Facebook page, they have been ticketing.
So Councilwoman Ryle, I wanted to kind of jump in really quick. I saw a few questions in regards to, I guess, traffic calming on Butner Road. So of course, you all know that there, and this can answer the question for Thames Road, because I saw that Mr. Agnew was also asking about the light. So there are 3 roundabouts that are coming on Butner Road. And there's one at Butner and West Stubbs. There's also one at Butner and Union that's very close to Thames. And then also to the roundabout that's coming to Butner and Stonewall Tail, which is currently under construction. So just wanted to kind of let you know that there are traffic calming mechanisms in place for Butner Road to alleviate probably some of that concern that is at Thames. That roundabout that would be at Union and Butner will help with that as far as the concern. So, of course, we know that a lot of people want traffic lights. Of course, traffic lights slows down traffic. I mean, it stops traffic. But what we're trying to do, especially with these roundabouts, is to continue to have traffic, but making sure that they're at a very safe speed. So I just want to let you know that those traffic calming measures are coming to Butner Road to alleviate the speed that is happening on that street. I can't remember if there were anything. And you addressed the stoplight, correct, Councilwoman Rao?
Rusan talked about the process that the traffic engineers actually determine the solution. So while you may think it's a traffic light, the traffic engineers, the professionals, have to determine what's the best solution.
Yeah,
we cover that.
With GDOT, they have currently, as far as the stoplight at Stonewall Tell in Campbellton, that project has been delayed just a bit, but they do anticipate that September they will go through I guess it will be vetted to go ahead and begin the installation of that light at Stonewall Tell and Campbellton. So that should help with those concerns as well.
Okay. I think that pretty much covers. Liz asked the question again. That's still a traffic comment. She asked, "Can we get a don't block the box physical sign or pavement sign on Butner in front of the plaza in front of St. James and homes? We have hundreds of existing homes and new subdivision being built."
I think that may be a good idea. I will talk with Public Works Department and see if there is something that we can do to have don't block the box. Those two entrances that go into the Butner shopping center.
Miss Marbury asked about, she referenced that the roundabout is beautiful, but we need to address the poor no truck signage. It's already a request into Public Works about that. We're looking at some additional LED signs in the area. They've not arrived yet, but as I had shared, they're in progress. I think that about covers our questions for tonight. I want to thank everybody who took time out of their busy schedules to tune in and get some updates about what's going on in Public Works. As you can see, they have a lot of projects across the city, not only traffic calming, but facility improvements to our recreational facilities and fire stations. So we look forward to continuing to brief you on these projects as they continue to move forward. Councilwoman Gomes, do you want to share anything?
Yes, and same here. I do want to thank the residents for joining. As you all know, you can email or call us anytime if there's a concern or update you possibly have. I do thank you all for bearing patience with my technology issues. I'm currently dealing with some family issues, so I'm in the hospital with a staticky internet. But it was important for me to be here with you all tonight in regards to letting you know that we do have Public Works and they are actively using your taxpayers' dollars. So they are at work. But again, thank you for your patience. We know that Public Works is probably one of the biggest aches that we have in both District 1 and District 2. But they have a lot of projects that are going on, and we want to make sure that the residents are aware of what's happening. So again, if we did not answer your question tonight, or if there's some pending questions that you may think of in the middle of your sleep, please feel free to email both of us, especially if it's District 1 or District 2, and we will answer those questions for you.
I did see one other question I wanted to address that Mr. Davis raised. He wanted to know about the parking, the increased penalty ordinance that was just introduced at our meeting on yesterday. again, I've heard from residents on Cascade and Boat Rock, and I introduced some legislation that I'm hoping my colleagues will support that would enhance the penalty for trucks on truck restricted routes. So the first time is $500, the second time is $750, and the third time is $1,000. $1,000 is the highest ticket that a city can impose. And so we hope that will be a deterrent and keep these trucks out of those residential areas. So we do hear you loud and clear. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to talking with you in the future and keeping you apprised of developments in our great city.
All right, definitely.
Thank
So
you.
no more other questions in the chat.
I think we've covered them all.
All right. Again, thank you so much, and always keep the city of South Fulton in your prayers. This is our city. This is our home. So we will do what we need to do to make it the best possible. Again, thank you all for joining tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Good night.